some visual confirmation that we're up and running.
Yeah, wasn't the engines.
Hmm. It's not showing that we're streaming. There we go. Hey, we're up and running. All right. We are here. Mr. Hurri, can you hear me?
What's up?
What's up, dude? Man, it's been quite a long time since our
It's
last.
been quite many years indeed.
God, time flies. We've kids have grown up. Pandemics have happened. Yeah, lots of crazy stuff.
Yeah, totally.
How you surviving over there?
I'm good. I'm
Excellent.
good. I've been working hard. Keep my client list keeps growing. The bucket list is growing shorter and shorter.
Bucket lists are great, man. It's nice that during this crazy time that we've been able to still do art, man. You know.
Yeah, totally. How have you been?
Things have been good, man. My two little girls are alive and well and growing up and still able to do art and still able to make video games at work and you can't really complain. Everybody's healthy and
L-
good to roll.
Living the dream.
Living the dream, baby. Definitely, we get to nerd out all the time, man. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
A little heads up today. I haven't been streaming much on the Pixo channel, much, but I had to jump back on, and I had to bring one of my good buddies, Bjorn Hurri, with me. And I think we're going to take a look at his new book, which is Abominations. Now, you and Spiridon worked collaboratively on this.
That is correct.
Excellent.
Me and Spiridon Giannakis. Oh shit! Did I just murder his
You
surname?
probably did.
Let's see. Giannakis. Whew.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
I'm safe.
Yeah, you're safe. Hey, we're good. We're good. This is not being recorded and will not live on. Oh, yes, it will. Yeah, it is. There's
Oh
no
yeah, oh
way.
shit.
So today, I thought it'd be a really cool opportunity to, a catch up with my good old buddy Bjorn, and b, throw some more eyes on his Abomination book that he did some absolutely stellar work in. He's, obviously done amazing work over his entire career, but now we have something that we can actually have in our hands and look at really closely on paper. So we're excited about that. And then I decided, you know what? Maybe I'll reach out and see if he's cool with me sculpting one of his demon generals from his book, and he was nice enough to say yes. So I thought even better, why don't we bring him on and hang out and talk about the character and talk about the book a little bit, and then we'll get to sculpting while we chat.
Sounds amazing, man. I'm so pumped to see what you do with this. This is gonna be amazing.
No pressure, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely no pressure whatsoever. Cough.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
So tell us a little bit about the book in general, Abominations, and how it kind of came to be, and then we can jump into this particular the Demon General in your inspiration behind it and what you kind of your character development was behind it. While I sculpt away while we chat.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, sure. The so like I've written in the book, it has a little bit of text, but it I mention this kind of process I was going through a few years back, where I was experimenting with what I call warm up, which is a designated half an hour every day where you are liberated of the pressure of performance, where you just have a kind of a carte blanche at do whatever you want as long as you do it every day at the exact same time at the studio when you come in. So through that like routine of being creative, I I found new ways of sketching,
Hmm.
and it kind of triggered this new way of thinking about sketching. Uh, it kind of it gave me the opportunity to start with lights only, like the way of painting. This demon general in her was line art first, which is incorrect of this new technique. But the cover, that kind of shaman orc,
Right.
he was painted the same process where you don't paint. You start with the mid-tone and you don't paint the shadows. You just paint the surfaces that being hit by light.
Right.
So it's like I called it lights only painting technique. And through that kind of, you start to paint the full picture from the get-go while you're sketching
Right.
and hunting an image. So in that sense, like I hit flavor instantly,
Right.
and it kind of gave me this idea of um, like let's try this out. Like let's hit the ground running. So I at the time I had finished working on God of War 4 and Blizzard
Mm-hmm.
and other clients. And this new way of sketching had me hooked. Like I can jump straight into mood
Yeah.
rather than, like construct a concept or
Right. It gives
so
you the
forth.
overall. It gives you more opportunity for happy accidents, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you can hide stuff without painting them rather than painting them messy and then clarifying
Right.
like you would do on a white background, because you can't just not paint on white because it acts differently.
Correct.
So when I used like a mid-tone, I could just hide things and suggest things, and the brain does the rest. So I started experimenting it with clients and more and more, making myself more and more comfortable with it
Uh huh.
to the point where it became a standard for all my clients moving forward, more or less.
So how was the
When they
reception to that then? Did they kind of like it? Did they get to see things earlier, or was it just kind of helpful to you in your process to get to a place where you could show things earlier?
I think they were really happy because an art director can look at a sketch and still get it,
Right.
but the suits don't.
Yeah. It's we call that the ability to squint.
Yeah, exactly. So it, of course it got across really well for everybody else other than the art director because they can see it and understand it instantly.
Right.
So it was really popular, and the fact that I had practiced it in that half an hour time chunk in the morning, I'm extremely fast at it.
Yeah.
So I can spit out illustrations like a few a day, like easily 10 to 20 illustrations a day in that way, where I can concept up an idea within an hour and it's fully colored, fully atmospheric, defined, and all these things, right? So it became really a strong tool to have for world building and early development and helping an art director form their statement, like
Right.
what they're looking for.
Yeah. The quicker that you can get to ideology and having something on paper, the better, kind of for everybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And because of this kind of suggestive painterly style, materials, if done right, is instant.
Yeah. Right.
So you can hint glossy, you can hint matte just by this intensity of the light, or it's a super straightforward, but it requires a lot of knowledge to do
Yeah, and a lot of
these
practice too, right? It's all that
yeah.
all that practice that you did with the warm ups that really helped you, you know, take this into a professional setting.
Yeah, exactly. So this art book is more or less me pretending to be an art director for an IP and me churning out characters for it.
Now, was this in that same vein? Were all of these images that you've done for this, was it all kind of for one IP, or is it just splatter on the wall just for whatever you were feeling, that kind of thing? Are they all connected, or is it just kind of a smattering of different worlds and stuff in the book?
It's all in one world. It's more or it's more or less like a tone. It's all in the same tone. Like
Right,
if dark fantasy was the kind of leading concept.
right.
It's not Men in Tights and Robin Hood.
Man in tights.
Yeah. Uh, but I wanted to kind of give the everything a dent. It has to be dirty, it has to be used, it has to be dark,
Right.
horrific. Kind of like I wanted to make a statement with the fantasy art because a lot of fantasy art is shiny and not real in that
Right.
sense that it's fabricated kind of.
Yeah, one of the things that I really loved about going through the book was like you said, it was just the sense of like you could almost touch some of the materials that were in the paintings. You know, you can really tell
Mm.
what kind of texture was on different plates of armor, or like, you know, was this thing cloth, or was this thing shiny, or is this thing of this large, huge bone structure on her head, kind of thing. You know, so it was really cool to see how you're able to achieve like just material and like the overall feel of what that texture is. So
Oh,
that was
yeah, thanks.
that was really cool.
It's an interesting aspect when you start playing with them, and all the characters or all the monsters in the book are based on a single concept idea, like a basic, well, a basic concept, like to say, oh, this is speed, or this is um, duality,
Hmm.
or this is curse, or it's all based on just one simple concept, but done with a twist. So I try to chase that basic idea and make it dark, or make give it a flavor
Right.
pushed in the right direction of dark fantasy or horror kind of.
Yep.
Like there's one painting in the book where a king sits in a throne
Hmm.
and his upper body is cast in shadow, and
Oh
it's
yes, that's a good one.
like kind of demonic, but in the light his hand is normal.
Right. So it's
And
almost like his like the shadow is changing him into something else, right?
yeah, or contrary, actually, it's like in when the king is in being seen in light, he's clean,
Right.
but in shadow, in his true form, he is evil or corrupted or
Right. Or even like, you know, whatever the viewer thinks of it, right? So like, you know,
yeah,
each viewer can take it a different way and be able to kind of interpret it in different ways too.
yeah, exactly.
Somebody had a question about what the book that we're talking about. We are talking about the Abominations book. You can actually see it on the screen on the bottom left. I have a picture of the cover right there. So it
Hmm.
is still for sale, right?
Indeed, it is. Indeed, it
Yes.
is from Liber. This oh shit.
Is that the email
Edition
address?
correct. The editions correct is the publisher,
Gotcha. And is
and
that's on your website?
yeah, you can find it through my website if you go to my website, and it'll be in store. And if you click the button, you'll go to the Kickstarter campaign, and you can pre-order it from there.
Gotcha.
Uh,
So,
the
so
big green shiny button.
yeah, the big green hey, support me with this awesome book idea.
Mm-hmm.
You had somebody else that helped you with the publishing of the book, right?
Yeah, it
That was
was
Spiridon.
yeah, Spiridon Giannakis. He helped to design the book with me and use his connections with that French publisher,
Hmm.
Edition Correct. They are like art book publishers. They have some really cool artists in their lineup, and so has Spiridon. He has created some really cool art books. And my book, actually, with him, was his first square book. which
Yeah,
is
the
absolutely.
format was really, really cool. It was perfectly square book. You don't really find those too often.
Yeah, I was when I saw it, I was instantly in love with the like just perfect like block of art. Like, oh
Right.
yeah, that
It definitely stands out
exactly.
on your like everybody has a little stack of paper or something on your desk, right? It's like the things that you haven't really had a chance to go through but you need to and you don't want to throw it away. But like that stack of stuff on your desk like is typically like a 8.5 by 11 stack. But then
Yeah,
if you have that book on there, you're like, oh yeah, oh shit, that's right. It's like it's right there. It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. It's amazing. And Spiridon, he hired calligraphists. That was called in English.
Calligraphy, right? Calligraphy.
Calligraphy.
Yeah.
Calligraphyist.
Yeah,
uh,
calligraphists. Yes.
yeah, yeah. A Russian guy called Viktor Pushkarev. Uh, he did the inside runes uh, for me and the the text on the cover.
Right.
So really cool.
Yeah, they came out. The whole presentation really came out really awesome.
Yeah, I'm super proud. Spiridon did a fantastic job.
Yes. The whole the art, the presentation, the oh, you had a forward from Raf Grassetti too, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He it's funny enough, like when I started creating this sketch method of concepting, I had like a hidden agenda. I was like, all right, I worked with Raf on God of War 4,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna make him hire me again uh, without asking.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, so I asked him. No, I started painting these, and then I put them on online, and he PM'd me, and he was like, "Oh shit, I need to put you on the next God of War." I was like, "Yes!"
Yes, you
High
do.
fived myself. Like,
Absolutely. It's funny because there are a lot of projects that we all have. Like where we're saying like, oh my gosh, I would love to work for that particular project. I'd love to work for that project. Really, the only thing stopping you from doing that, is you. Like if you're like, oh, I want to work on Halo, do a bunch of Halo work and like do
yeah,
super sick Halo work, and then that will end up, I guarantee it, in front of 343, and somebody like, hey, that's awesome. Let's get that guy in here. That kind of thing. So that targeted approach, it works a lot. It doesn't work out all the time, but it works a lot.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think that in general was just a good motivator. Like, I'm going to make something that can fit in that space,
Yeah.
and having that kind of benchmark to go for is a good benchmark to have.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Well,
and
that
like you mentioned, Raf was kind enough to write the foreword in it. I've known him for many years.
yeah. Yeah, he's good peoples for sure. Um,
Yeah.
so tell me a little bit. Let's jump in. I know you don't have a whole lot of time on your hands, busy guy, and it is actually nighttime over there,
Yep.
in your area of the woods. So, I'd love to get a little bit of insight of kind of what your thought processes was around this particular character, the demon general.
Right.
In
So there is a text for it in the book, but
right,
I'll paraphrase it more. I'll explain the concept behind it. So the the concept behind this is the evil unicorn. Um,
mm,
that's the basic concept of it. Like this a single. The general is the unicorn in that sense that in this world, when a demon dies, they instantly respawn. They're just patched together to function, and then whatever happened to them kind of still there, and they become, the more they die and respawn, the more brittle they become, the more they fall apart, the more their gear doesn't get uh, repaired because it's more or less like bone. So the more they die, the weaker they get, but they can never die because they will always respawn.
interesting.
But they can flood you, and maybe they'll die of just one hit, but there's 1,000 of them coming.
Right, right.
So she has not died. She hasn't respawned. So all her bone armor is growing. larger and larger because she hasn't died, so she hasn't become brittle or damaged. So all that's why she has this massive horn that has starting to grow into a crown and becoming a part of her armor in the sense of like ornaments, etc. Is that because she's too badass? She doesn't die.
She's a badass level 9,999, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I'm assuming she will die at some point, but then she'll just be better because she won't be weighed down by her massive bone crown.
Right. She'll have all the experience, but not the weight.
Yeah, exactly. Then she'll just grow big again,
Yeah.
until someone manages to kill her. So
That's
like that's the basic demon concept in this world is that they're just instantly respawning.
well that
So you kill it,
yeah.
and then you see it coming running into the room again. It's like what? I just
Yeah, I mean I think that's the perpetual issue with, having uh some kind of like real world tangibility to, the supernatural. Especially with like
yeah.
demons and angels and stuff, you're like, well, if it's something is eternal, like how do you kill it? Like it has, you have to have some kind of, way of, hurting it or like, banishing it or whatever. So I always really enjoy people's take on like how that process works, because
Hmm.
it's such a interesting and kind of difficult problem to to overcome,
Yeah, it's like that saying about like magic is just I'm gonna butcher the saying, but it's like something in the lines of magic is just technology unexplained.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Like if somebody from 1854 suddenly found themselves in today's world, and you're like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna do this thing, and they're like, oh my god, that's magic. You're like, no, no, it's actually
yeah,
electrons.
yeah. Calm down. It's just a microwave.
It's just a microwave. How do you sorcerer? Witch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so that's a been a really good fun to kind of the whole spin on fantasy in this book was to kind of put them into tangible situations or
Yeah.
uh, like explain the magic in a way.
So do you have is it so this is kind of a world building experience for you as well, right?
Yeah, that too is like I set out many years ago to have IP dev as a make it as a thing that you can get hired for.
Right.
And throughout the years, I have been convincing more and more clients that this is actually a good thing to hire people for. And nowadays, it's actually an official position in studios,
Is like a world builder? Or what do
like
they
IP dev.
IP dev. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, IP dev.
So it's usually pre-production. You can hire some person that's great at creating narratives and worlds and concepts.
Right.
Like back in the day, many years ago, what's that, 7 years ago now, Guerrilla hired me for Horizon Zero Dawn.
God, that's so
Um,
cool.
and at that time, it was just a robot in gray box
Right.
and nothing else.
So you
And
got to
there,
you got to help kind of create the lore and all that stuff for Horizon Zero Dawn.
yeah, all the human aspect uh, I helped to create. So they initially hired me for like a week. I sat there and killed a stack of paper like crazy. And I sat there and just spawned ideas and drew them up. And this tribe looks like this because of that. And they hunt robots because of this and blah, 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 blah. And I, I then had a meeting with the creative director, the head of Sony, and another producer at
Mhm.
Gorilla. And they were all just kind of nodding and elbowing each other, like while I was explaining all my crazy ideas.
That's
Uh,
so cool, man. That's yeah, that whole IP, man, like just the story behind it and like the world building and
mm,
everything, even from the look of the dinosaurs to the look of the each um, each faction. You know, that's very.
Yeah.
It was. I know a ton of people. You know, the people that I work with in a professional setting, you know, that keep going back to that IP and saying, "Man, this was really cool. Like, let's do this
Mm.
stuff." You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's they really did a good job. It was amazing. So I did that workload, and then I think 3 years later I saw the first like reveal trailer.
Yeah. And you're like,
It's like what they
oh,
have done with it.
oh my god,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
yeah, and I instantly like dived back to the into the backup and looked at my concepts. Like, oh, they did that with this. Oh shit! Like
That's
that's
fun too,
amazing.
kind of like deconstructing how they did things and like what they kept and what was still like almost as close to one versus
Yeah,
is it
yeah.
like 5%? Is it 10% of what you did, or is it just nothing like it?
Yeah, exactly. There's always some variety there. And then I actually created so much ideas that a lot of the ideas spilled over to the sequel.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's some there. I am looking forward to playing that so much.
Mm,
That I was actually, just from a gamer's point of view, I really wasn't big into like bow and arrow games, like at
mm,
all. I was like, I would actually actively avoid them. But when I sat down and I played Horizon Zero Dawn, because it was the world was so rich, and the designs were amazing, and like just being in that world was so enthralling, that I was like, all right, I'm gonna get over the fact that I don't like this style of combat. And I'm so
yeah.
glad I did, because man, it was so worth it. It actually changed me from hating bow and arrow games to like absolutely loving them because of that
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, the same. Same. I think with any good design, it kind of leaves a good ability to master something. And I think
Yes.
they've really managed to kind of do that where with the bow and arrow is that it can be simple, but you can also be extremely advanced with it. And
Yes, exactly. And their
and how
ramp up
advanced you
was
are is how good you are.
Yeah, their ramp up too was really good. Like getting you kind of used to how it all worked and everything like that. So it was
Yeah.
very successful. But it's actually I didn't know that you had a lot of input in the beginning of that. And now that I'm
Mm.
seeing some of that, now I know that I'm connecting things in my head. I'm going, you sneaky bastard. You've been part of so many things in the beginning that I'm like, oh, now that I look at it, and I know, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of see that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so funny. Like that's the sad part with being in a position like I am, where I am the first in line of 500 people following
Uh
on
huh.
a project. Is that sometimes mine is one to one, but in the end,
Yeah.
after all those 500 people, and sometimes it's not. But the fact that I'm setting the standard, or I'm setting the tone for everything to be built on is super fascinating. But it's not something that you can like claim in credits.
Right. Exactly. You're like, well, yeah, I came up with that, but they used it and they completely changed it. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But they wouldn't have it without me. That's the thing.
Right.
But
So it's
like
like,
I am getting a credit, concept art credit, but it's actually that's one of the things that I wanted to push, like this IP dev status, where
right.
in, ideally I'd have IP dev credits and not just concept art credits.
Yeah, it's almost like like a creative, what can you say? Um, I don't know, creative. There's companies are so weird about titles, though. That's one thing that
Hmm.
I found. They're like, anything with the word creative or director in it, they're like, yeah, no, yeah,
Oh yeah,
like, oh God,
that's a paycheck increase. We'll say no to that.
exactly. They are a little bit weird about those things. So I can see why that is kind of an uphill battle.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, but I had so many of these moments of like helping studios create something interesting
mhm.
and being a part of like green lighting so many projects.
I
over
mean,
the
that's the
years.
fun part, really. It's like your own personal, like, yeah, I helped build, that IP, and I helped like
Mm.
develop the idea behind it. And even though, you may not get the credits on paper kind of thing, it really is awesome to be able to, work with people in the industry, and like they know that value, right? And they know that, like,
Yeah,
oh, this came from, this particular person, and that is actually more, in the grand scheme of things. Of course, we all love credits and everything, but in the grand
mm,
scheme of things, it's really about, like, you know people know your quality, and are like, hey, yeah, let's do that. Let's have this person do that because they did such a kick-ass job last time.
yeah. I mean, essentially, credits is for the non-creative person to be convinced they should use it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's also, it's a dream. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I had, my dreams were, oh, I want to, work as a character artist in a AAA, video game, and
Mm,
that's what I want to do, and was able to do that. But ultimately, it's about, the type of work that you're able to do, and the kind of impact that you can make on not consumers, but people who view your content and are inspired by your content, and that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. Like share the journey, like share the create an experience for others. Like,
Right.
that's what.
Exactly. And that and like, even just in this conversation, like, it's been like that. Like, I've been a big fan of your work for a long time, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, holy crap, you did all that work for for Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm like, oh, that's even better.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
It's so
exactly.
cool.
It's
So
awesome,
awesome.
and I'm also happy to say that we've actually worked on the same game. Hey,
We have. Oh yeah, that's
yep,
right. You did some early work on Avengers, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I did.
That's awesome. Yeah. So technically, we have worked on the same project.
Yeah,
That's very
exactly.
true.
We have.
That's very true. I didn't even know. Yeah, I came in like years after you were gone, but
Yeah, we were very early. Again, green lighting something,
yeah,
and we designed the Captain America and like color schemes for Iron Man.
yeah, dude, that's yeah. And what's crazy is that you can still see a lot of that art represented in some of the final product, which is really cool.
Mm,
Um, you can
yeah,
you can
small
tell.
small industry. When the longer you've been around, the smaller it grows.
Yes, it's a very, very small industry, definitely. Um, but yeah, man. Well,
Yeah,
this is awesome being able to kind of have the creative mind behind a concept, and I'm absolutely murdering it right now in the early phases. It doesn't look anything as good as as yours does right now, so you'll have to excuse the Valley of the Suck, is
no, man, I'm loving it. It
the
looks fantastic.
blockouts say.
Yeah.
So
It's a necessary evil.
it is, and it's a little bit difficult doing creative work while trying to have a meaningful conversation at the same time.
Indeed,
You know, I
I know this feeling.
yeah, you know the feeling. This is probably what you were feeling like the first time that you and I hung out on stream. I had Bjorn on many years ago, and he actually went through some of these processes. Um,
Oh yeah.
and I think I made you paint live while you were talking.
Yep.
Yep, that
Yep.
was that's very difficult, and
Yeah. Now you know how it feels.
yeah, exactly,
All right.
exactly.
I have to get going. It's quite late here.
Yes, awesome.
But
Well, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate any chance to get to hang out with buddies and stuff from the industry is awesome. And I really appreciate letting me work on this awesome concept, and I hope I do it justice. And it'll probably be many streams that this will kind of turn out to. So if you're
awesome.
just starting now, we'll keep this going for as many streams as we can, and hopefully we'll get up to Bjorn's quality in the actual concept. So
I'm
if
honored, man. You're
oh,
gonna destroy it. I know it's good. I'm looking forward to it already. I can
awesome.
already taste it.
Yeah, you can already taste it all the way over there.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome,
Have
man.
a good
Well,
day, man.
all right, brother. If you guys have an opportunity, check out Bjorn's website, bjornhurri.com, and take a look at his Abomination book and pick it up. It's definitely worth having. So, thanks, Bjorn. Appreciate you
Thank
hanging
you.
out, man.
Likewise.
All
It's
right,
a
buddy.
pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, take it
Bye.
easy. Bye. All right, we are going to continue. That was really cool. That was awesome. And Bjorn has a Twitch too, I think, as well. I believe so. Okay. So yeah, we are going to continue this for probably about another hour and a half, and we'll see how far we can actually get, and we'll just continue with our regular streaming stuff. Yeah. Sorry I didn't get to the chats. Cube. What's up, Ash? How you doing? Hello, Pro. Thank you. What's up, buddy? All right. Yeah, it's really difficult to sculpt and have like a conversation at the same time. So I definitely props to anybody that I've had on before who I've had to actually sculpt at the same time that we talk. That's not the easiest thing to do in the world. It's going good, bro. It's going good, man. It is going good. So here's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use all the tools available, and what I'm gonna do, at least for the blockout phase, is I'm gonna do this little trick. I like setting this guy up right about here, and then hold on one sec. Okay. So yeah, what I like doing is I like actually using this see-through option up here. It's great for tracing. Don't tell anybody, okay? Don't tell anybody. You recently got a book on ZBrush? Nice. Oh yeah, look how far off I am. Oof. And I know I think Ashley is still here, and this is me trying to do awesome snake hook work that she is like really good at. um, yeah, so this feature is just this little see-through guy up here. So it actually will kind of dim out ZBrush however much that you want to. So I use this quite a bit. Maybe I'll just do this full one out here. Get the full breadth here. We'll just get the overall shape is what I like doing. The other thing we could do is we could just lock the camera. That lock camera is in Draw Lock Camera, which is awesome. Ashley Snake Hook Adams. That's that's exactly it. That would be her like cage fighting name. So at least this way we can get the overall placement of just the general shape and the width. Um, and then we can go in and it's all about tools, right? You know, it's not cheating, it's tools. It's using tools. Yeah, don't especially if you're new to ZBrush, don't mind my setup. Uh, it can be fairly intimidating, so don't don't worry about it too much. Just look at it as, oh, I can make it however I want it. Haven't even downloaded yet. Oh, you are in for a world of awesome then. I'm excited for you. Yeah, it's a industry standard now for sure. In not just video games, but in any kind of real 3D production in general. So it's definitely good to know. The other thing you could do is look into Michael Pavlovich. Michael Pavlovich, like it sounds. He's got some really awesome training videos and stuff on ZBrush, and those are free. So take a look, see here. So what I'm gonna do is pull that back, unlock the camera, and then I'm gonna start. Now that I have the general block out shape. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna start trying to kind of feel out what it feels like in 3D, right? Obviously, it's not completely flat, so I'm gonna try to get. Lock the camera again. Some at least some good things happening. Maybe it swings out a bit like this, and then kind of comes back. So I'm just trying to get the overall shapey shape here. Yeah, one of the things that I actually love watching Ashley Adams do, A. Adams do, is she actually uses these artifactings as like happy accidents, right? So once you kind of subdivide this and um, make it a little bit bigger, you actually have some really cool happy accidents happening with how things are kind of crunching up and how they're overlapping and those types of things. So what I'm looking to do is just kind of get some of those happy accidents happening, and then go back and we'll clean all that stuff up later. So one of the things that you'll learn to embrace are definitely happy accidents. So it looks like it kind of like this kind of comes forward, and the meat of it is actually kind of towards the back of her head here, and then it kind of swoops backwards. Like if you were looking at her from the top, it would go, here's her head, and then it would kind of swoop backwards. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now, is how that swoop happens. Afraid of all of this stuff? Or what are you afraid of? Afraid of what? Am I afraid of what? Maybe we could take all of this and start pushing it back some. So one of the most important things when you're translating something from 2D to 3D is doing, making sure that all angles are interesting, right? So take a look at as many different angles as you can, and make sure that all of them are interesting. You don't want to have a dead angle or dead angles where you're like, oh, it looks good from this angle, and it looks good from this angle, and it looks good from this angle, but it looks like crap here. You know, you want to make sure that you don't have any blind spots when it comes down to um, different angles that your content is going to be viewed at, right? You also want to um, make sure that the design is good from all angles and it works from all angles. Yeah, I'm a little bit afraid of what that's going to be like, but I think right now I'm worried. I'm trying to worry less about the technical aspect of what everything's going to do, and worry more right now about what the shapes are doing and what the overall feeling is, and then I'll work out all those details later. Okay, what is this? Let's get in the little semicircle in the back. We could just start blocking out and making sure that we have kind of most of the elements in. That's really the most important part of these early phases, is just getting all of the elements in. And then once everything's all in, then you can start playing around with how are they interacting with each other. What are they doing in 3D space? So let's get in this little hoops in the back. So let's get in this one, and then we'll block these two out, and then we'll get this one in. That's the plan, right? So there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. You can just pull it out and sculpt it if you want to, or you can go and do um, let's do this. Let's do some geo stuff. So actually, you know what? Let's grab one of these guys, right? Um, so when you grab one of these that is not a poly mesh 3D, if you go down to initialize, you can actually change the dimensions and stuff of the mesh before you commit to it being a polymesh 3D. So in this particular case, let's go. So I'm going to take out the inner radius. Let's put that back up to 100. So what I'm going to do is I just want this shape. So I think that's actually okay. Maybe we could take the subdivisions all the way down. Maybe what we'll do is just get this to the right kind of overall thickness. Do I want to taper it? No, I don't want to taper it. Let's just do that. Okay. And then we'll make that as a polymesh 3D. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide all of that. We'll do delete hidden, close holes. Cool. Now I've got that guy, right? So if I go back over to this lady, and then I go to append, then I can just grab that cylinder, which is right here. I'm not worried about the geo or anything like that. I just want the overall shape, and then I'm just gonna Dynamesh it into this thing. So I'm not too worried about um, whether it's the right size or anything like that. I think the only thing that I may do is I'm gonna use the ZModeler brush, and then we're going to go to the QMesh. We're going to do poly loop. Okay, and I want to poly loop this way. I'm going to hold down shift. Nope, that's not going to work, is it? Let's do group by normals. There we go. And then we'll do poly group and poly loop. So I think this one should work. Yep, there we go. So we're just going to do that guy. Poly group would have worked too, yeah. If I just do poly group. What I'm doing is I'm holding down Shift, and basically that is just moving this this set of polys. So something like that. Okay, let's do the see-through, and let's just see if we got... I'm just looking for the overall location, right? The height and the location where it's going to hit this bony feature here. Something like that. I think that's fine. Now what we can do is just go to our move brush, turn on symmetry, and then we'll just get that about kind of where that is. And again, I'm going to merge this into this piece and Dynamesh it. So I just want it about the size. Use it for block out. Okay, that's good enough. Alright, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this back a little bit, make sure it's intersecting. Cool. Now I go over to my subtools. I'm going to pull this up to there. I'm going to switch to this guy and then just do merge down. Yep, that's fine. Okay, cool. Now it's part of the same mesh, the same subtool. Now I can do is just pull this down into here. And then let's Dynamesh and clean all this stuff up. So I'm going to do, first, before I do that, it looks like this side is a little bit different from this side. So I want to keep this side. So what I'm going to do is just mirror and weld. What that does is it pulls on this side, which I don't want. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to mirror it first. So then it pulls this side over to here. So mirror and weld will do that. If you're looking for mirror and weld, it's in Tool, Geometry, Mirror, and Weld. All right, and then now what if I do Dynamesh? Now that is part of that. That's okay, I can go sculpt that stuff out. So it's just about getting the elements in first. So the problem is that her head is not symmetrical. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe I'll just kind of scooch her head over just a touch. What's up, Sir Marks? How you doing, buddy? This body, if you're wondering, this is just from 3D Scan Store. It's just a base female mesh that I grabbed. So it's actually, I think it's from a scan, so that's why some of the body is asymmetrical. So I'm just going to move the eyeballs over just a touch to compensate for that. Where did you go? That was weird. They're all the way down there. Why are they down there? Sometimes the eyeballs get messed up, and I just make new ones, which is fine. They're easy enough to remake. It inherited the old size, which is weird. Good. Things are good, man. Things are good. It's fun having new projects to work on. There are plenty of projects that have not gotten finished. Okay, I think that's good enough for now. That way, at least my mirror and welded symmetrical versions of this aren't so asymmetrical on her head. So one of the things that I like to cover for people that haven't been using ZBrush for the longest time is a common problem when you're using Dynamesh is that you start having like these holes, right? So like how do you fix this type of stuff? It's actually pretty easy. Like how do you fix this stuff and this stuff? I don't get stressed out about that stuff anymore, especially when you're using Dynamesh. Super easy. So if you just use the Inflate Brush and may have missed it. Did you build your low poly base mesh yourself? No. So let's get that out. Yep. The female is a female base mesh that I got from 3D Scan Store. I have a lot of I do a lot of costume work. I've been doing character art for long enough that I don't need to make a base model every single time that I do something new. So I usually just work from a base mesh. So if I'm doing a head sculpt or something like that, I usually start with something that already has good UVs on it and those types of things. Same with the body. That way you don't have to spend time redoing kind of base stuff again and again and again. So one of the ways that I will just kind of brute force fix some of this stuff is using the Inflate Brush. Basically, what's happening is that both sides of the mesh are so close that when it dynameshes, it kind of like interpenetrates like that, and then it's like, oh, I don't know how to do this, so it will kind of give you holes. So as it's trying to figure stuff out. So what I'll do is I'll just use the Inflate Brush, but the most important part is using this backface mask. So backface mask is in, of course I can't see it because it's the wrong color in the way. Backface mask is in Brush, Auto Masking, Backface Mask. So if you go to Brush, Brush is up here. There's Brush, Brush, Auto Masking. There, and then backface mask is right there. I just pulled it out to there. I'm getting notes from Bjorn. Yes. He said that the lower parts of the horns, close to the neck, point backwards. Aha. Okay, not forward like that. These guys point backwards, like the wings of a bird, as he said. Aha. See, this is one of the awesome things about working kind of in a studio or working having access to the concept designers, because you can get a lot of their initial ideas directly from them. You know that maybe you're interpreting in a different way. Yeah, there you go, something like that. So let's get back to how do I fix the holes from Dynamesh. So again, use the Inflate Brush. So Inflate Brush, make sure that backface mask is on, so that when you're kind of just inflating this like this, it's keeping the other side unaffected. So that now you actually are basically the two sides of the mesh that were really close. Now you're pulling one side away from it, and then when you re-Dynamesh, it will kind of close all those holes for you. So like if I re-Dynamesh now, re-Dynamesh now, re-Dynamesh, thank you. Then those holes go away, right? So I just kind of brute force this type of stuff. Um, you know, I get a little bit of distance between the front plane and the back plane. Again, it all get fixed out. That's not a big deal, right? So inflate, redynamesh, smooth out, easy peasy. Inflate, dynamesh, inflate, redynamesh, smooth out. And then, obviously the front or back side of this, whenever you're inflating, you'll just have to resculpt it real quick. So that's why I try to do most of the kind of block out in the beginning. Yeah, you could do the smoothing before you do the inflate, but the problem with that is that Now, once you do that, you're like, yeah, I mean, you can do it. It really depends on the area. So it's really whatever works. Just smooth that out. Redynamesh. It's basically just closing the holes. You want to get the one side of the mesh away from the other side, however you see fit. So in this case, maybe what I'll do is I'll just use the move tool and just push these guys together. Redynamesh. Yeah, tons of ways to skin the cat, but okay. Then we'll let's mirror and weld. Right. So that's why I'm not too worried about the those things happening. Yep, move tool works too. And basically, you just need to put the two meshes, like put the two sides of the hole close enough together so that the algorithm, the Dynamesh algorithm, understands like, oh, I'll just close that hole. No biggie. Okay, so we got this piece now. Um, let's that's okay for it at the moment. So let's put in our little tusks, tuscarators. Okay, let's see. Let's look at our. So these little shinobis. So I think maybe what I'll do is I'll sculpt it real quick, and then put it into position, and then Dynamesh it together. Yeah, and then we'll do the same thing here as we did for this one. Actually, I still have that that piece that I made. So what I could do is just reappend that piece. Just pull this one in. Let's take a look at that. We'll do group by normal. So if you're curious as to what all this crud is out on the sides, basically what I do is I just take my tool menu, which is this one here, the tool menu, and I pulled out everything in this menu that I use quite a bit just onto the side here. So if you look, like subtool stuff is all up here. Extra geometry, this is all geometry stuff from the geometry tab. This is all geo from modified topology. This is deformations. This is polygroup stuff. This is morph target stuff. This is masking. This is UVs, so on and so forth. So it's basically I just go through this whole list and just pull out into here whatever I use a lot. All right, so let's grab the. My dogs are gonna bark for a second. Don't mind them. Okay. Something like that. Hold on 1 second, guys. 1 second. The dog's still barking? No. I think we're okay. All right. Let's go. Let's see where we're at. And again, don't be afraid that things don't look good in the beginning because they never look good in the beginning. They usually don't start looking good until you've spent quite a bit of time uh, working on it. So don't get discouraged. That was one of the big things kind of early on in my career, is just understanding that like the work is not going to look good for quite a while, and that's totally normal and totally okay. So there it is right there. So it looks like it kind of like goes behind her. Look at my reference over on this side real quick. Oh, that is my reference. Okay, so it goes into this part right here. So it feeds into this form. Okay, let's go to this one. Let's turn off my polyframe. Go back to my move brush, and then we're just going to start moving this stuff into position a little bit, so that when I redynamesh this and merge it all, it's starting to look okay. Does ZBrush allow rigging and animation too, or is it purely sculpting? It's mostly sculpting. You can kind of get things to move around a little bit. There is a timeline feature that you can kind of play around with, but and you can do a kind of other kind of tricky stuff to do it with like layers and those types of things. But it's mainly just a sculpting program. Okay, let's mirror and weld. I forgot to turn on symmetry. So this will all just kind of feed back into that thing. So I just want to make sure that I get the silhouette, which is looking okay. All right, that's fine. Let's do the tusks next. So I'm just going to append just a sphere. Just grab a sphere. Append a sphere. Appendosphere, not to be confused with appendicitis. Okay, and then we'll just kind of sculpt this guy into what I want. Is the video recorded? Can I watch it later? Which one? The one we're working on right now? Like, if you want to catch the beginning of this stream? Yes, it will. Pixologic will upload these streams to their YouTube channel. Hold on one sec, guys. I'm gonna go grab my dog. I think she's gonna wake up my daughter. I don't want that to happen. She's taking a nice nap right now. Hold on one second. Okay. Okay, off. Cool. Long saving times, huh? Um, One of the things that I realized a little late in my early on ZBrush career was that if you have layers, um, it will significantly increase the size of your file, is what I realized. So we've got, it kind of comes up here, it's got a little tail down here, and it kind of swoops back. Looks like almost like a like straight and then sweep back. So I just want to get the overall. So we got to swoop back and then kind of straight, and then maybe it comes in just a little bit there. Something like that. It's good enough for a block out. It's good enough to get in. Cool. We'll just take that and get that down there. I'll size this guy down. We're going to take Symmetry off so we can move it off axis here. We'll just go. Yeah, look like a halberd front axe piece thingamajig. Is it? See, is it tilted out at all? Yeah, it's pretty straight up and down. I think one of the big things is that graphically it pulls from out here and goes almost right towards the eyes. So I want to make sure to keep that and notice those things, right? Like it also looks like graphically it just the edge of this breaks this kind of value plane into the face area. So I want to make sure to preserve those types of things. So and that's the nice thing about this block out time is you can really kind of start playing around with this stuff and making sure that those little details are important. Looks like it's, and then it actually looks like it's out more away from her, the corner of the mouth, right? So if you're from the front, maybe halfway between the corner of her mouth and the side of her head. So let's push this guy out just a little bit. Something like that. Then let's mirror and weld, see what it looks like on both sides here. Okay, turn on my symmetry, that way I can work on both sides. And then we'll just kind of work on integrating what these shapes do. Let's make sure to turn on my perspective. I think they can actually pull in a little bit more too. They look a little tall. How do you turn on symmetry? Typically it's X on your keyboard, but if you go up to transform, you can do activate symmetry right here. You can assign any key to that, but X is what I typically use for symmetry. I think that is the default as well. The other question is, how far does this stick out from her face? I feel like it may be just a little far out. Again, we can change all this once we start getting all the elements in and everything. Proto Colo Loco. What's up? Okay. So let's integrate this one into the bone crown thingamajigger. So we're going to move this guy up to here. We're going to switch to this one, and then we're going to merge down. Again, this one is merge down is in tool, subtool, merge down. Right? So tool, subtool, merge, merge down. All those are right there. So we're going to merge that down. There. Now, if I turn on polyframe, and for me, polyframe is Shift F. Now they are part of the same subtool, and if I Dynamesh, boom, there you go. Now it's integrated. And then I can just sculpt that out. starting to feel like that, right? We're getting the overall feel. What that is, her horn definitely needs to be bigger. But now we're starting to get the feel of it. So I think what we're going to do next, so we got about 45 minutes left. What we'll start doing next is start blocking out some of these armor pieces and start working on just how to at least start them, right? How do you get this thing from nothing? Those are the big challenges I had early on in my ZBrush career. And I'll show you a couple of different methods for something out of nothing kind of thing. Okay, cool. Looks like she has some horns back here too, so maybe we'll pull a couple of those out. Yeah, let's roll. Let's actually make this dude a little bit bigger. Alright, and then I'm just, for the sake of time, she looks like a rhinoceros at the moment. For the sake of time, I'm just going to pull a couple of these out. Oops, not that one. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate this, and then I'm just going to hide this piece so that it doesn't get in the way. So I'm going to use my select lasso, and then I'm just going to hide that. It's on Symmetry, so it'll hide the equal sides. And then maybe what I'll do is go down to display properties and turn on double, which will show me the inside of the polys as well. So I could just at least get an eye on what those are. So I'm just going to, I don't really care what these look like yet. I'm just trying to get some geo out there so that now I can move into my move brush and just start kind of shaping a couple of these up into some interesting shapes. And then because I have symmetry on, I can just push this to the left and it will thin all that out. All right, at least we got a couple of extra shapes in there. I think that's all right for now, just to get the idea that there's a little bit more depth. I'm just gonna offset these just a touch so they don't look so exact after it saves. Just gonna break up the size and shape of some of these and the spacing in between them just to make it look a little bit more kind of organic and natural. Different. All right. Cool. Now she looks like it has a mohawk. Oh yeah! If you have to design a creature or character with feathers, do you have to sculpt individual feathers, or is there a brush in ZBrush that allows you to have feather textures on a subject or on a sculpt? I think that honestly the biggest thing with feathers and those types of things, anything that has to do with like a hair or really thin objects, it's really about what your final output is going to be. If you are working in video games, your feathers probably won't be sculpted geometry. It'll probably be will be hair cards, right? So it's just like a strip of polys um, with alpha on it. So take that into account when you're if you're sculpting for video games. But if you're sculpting for um, like collectibles, then obviously that needs to be geo. So you could go in and create your own um, feather brushes, and then just figure out ways to. Why did my Dynamesh turn off? There we go. Figure out ways to do that. You can use insert meshes. You can use just copy and paste. But what I would do is if I was going to do it for, say, collectibles, I probably would go and just sculpt a couple of different feathers and then turn those into insert mesh brushes so that you don't have to create all of them by hand. And then you can just insert them as you go. Okay. All right, let's look at her armor plates here. All right, so maybe we'll just start blocking these ones out. Actually, you know what? Let's do this one first because it's the easiest to show, kind of the method that I typically use for this type of armor. It's actually pretty easy, and then that will kind of go into how we do all of these plates. So we'll do this one first, and then I'll show you a couple of different ways how you can do these straps. Okay, let's look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it from about the deltoid here, and I'm going to end it just above her elbow. So it just looks like it kind of comes in, does this. I don't really see any, well, it has like a little thingamajigger here we can get later. But let's just do the regular block out first. So typically what I'll do is I'll block it out in a mask first. So that way I can literally just draw it on. It gives me some good kind of reference, or at least drawing that I can erase. I can unmask things however I want to. So typically I'll just mask out an area. So maybe it can end right there. Then let's pull this. Now there's a couple of things you can do from here. You can do extract, you can do a polygroup, all kinds of different things. For me, I try not to get bogged down in the how the best way we could do it in this particular project. I usually just have a couple of different methods. That way I don't spend time and mental revs, trying to figure out the best way to do it for this. So I typically will just do it a couple of different ways. So in this particular case, the more often than not, what I'll do is I'll just duplicate the mesh that I'm working on, and then I will turn on polymesh, and then I will do group mask, and then I'll just hide everything else. We'll do delete hidden, and of course it says vertices can't be deleted with a subdivision mesh while the lowest subdivision level is active. Okay, got it. Okay, cool. So then we'll do delete hidden. Sorry, we got to go all the way down to subdivision 1, delete hidden. God dang it. Oh, it has layers on it. That's why. So then we'll go back to layers. We'll just do bake all. Okay, unhide, bake all, rehide it. I'm at subdiv 1, delete hidden. Okay, what that's going to do is it's going to calculate all of the subdivisions for me. So now I still have all the sub-Ds in here, which I don't really want. I don't really care about them. So I'll just actually, before I do all that, what I'm going to do, because we're working on a separate mesh now, right? I duplicated it out. So typically what I'll do is I want to save the roundness of this mask. So what I'll do is I'll delete all of them. Let's bake first. Fucking layers. Eh. Bake all my layers. That's fine. Go back up. We'll do delete lower. I thought I baked it all. Didn't I bake it all? Oh yeah, that's right. Bake. At least it tells you. Okay, so then now we'll go all the way back up. We'll do delete lower. That's fine. We'll reestablish the mask, so we'll do group masked. Hide this one. Cool. Now I just got that piece. That's really what I wanted. So we'll do delete hidden, and then now I just have this piece. Right. The reason why I do it this way is because I want this piece to conform to the curvature of the arm. So that instead of just, pulling in, appending something in and then trying to like fit it to this, I'll do it this way because it conforms to this curvature already. And I already have that basically for free. So then once I have that, I can come in and just ZBrush that. So we'll come in, let's clear the mask. We'll go to Geo. We'll go to ZBrush. I typically will use a 20 by 20 here for adaptive strength and curve strength. And then I just start cutting it in half. Whatever it is, I'll just cut it in half. Let that go. If you want to use hair cards in ZBrush, make the hair card, but before... Oh yeah, he's just, yeah. Okay, we'll ZBrush again. So the reason why I'm doing half is I want to look at the geo as it's starting to make it, and then I want to start doing a little bit of edge cleanup as I go, and that I use polish by groups. That can be found in deformations, polish by groups here. So what that will do is, you see how like this is all kind of wonky. If you start doing polish by groups, it'll start just cleaning that stuff up. And then I will do that typically through my ZBrush stage, so that when it remeshes, now it can take those nice forms. And just do polish it up a little bit. Subdivide. All right, so now I'm getting nice geo. Okay, let's go maybe one more time. I'm going to end up dynameshing this again, so I'm not too worried. I just really want to have something decent to start from here. And then what I'll do is I'll start sculpting that piece. And then we'll add thickness to it. Right, so now I'm getting like this, I'm able, because I do it this way, it curves around my arm pretty much perfectly. And then I can just make little edits that I feel are good, that need to happen. Maybe I'll pull this guy in. Then I can start making design decisions like this, right? It's just a piece of flat geo, right? There's nothing to the back of it. And then now I can start just making design decisions. That's tough to say. Say, how does that feel? Maybe we'll take this and we'll just pull this up a little bit more. Maybe we'll pull this up. Let's see. She does have like this little here. We'll just have to figure out whatever that is. Or what we say is, it's really the job of the 3D artist working from a concept like this is to interpret, right? So, do these little decisions, do they mean something big to what the concept artist was trying to do? Or is it, they're trying to make cool shapes and trying to figure out what the character is doing and not too worried about what whatever all the physical little things are doing in conjunction with each other. So, as an interpreter, you could say, well, this could be a little loop on this arm piece. Or what you could say is like, it's a little hook off the end of this elbow piece. And I think I like the idea that it's a hook off the end of the piece. So I think I'm gonna do that. Yeah, Pavlovich is awesome. I even learned a ton of stuff from him. guy, a guy. So I don't know. I think this looks okay to start with. So now I want to add some thickness to it, right? Because right now it's just a plane. Before I do that, I think what I want to do is I want to map out. I think I'm going to use uh, the same process for these, right? So I could literally just draw these lines on that page, right, or on that mask, and then just extract them. So I think I'm actually going to do that. At least we'll do a couple, and then you get the idea, and we'll move on to something else. So because you have this, again, I'm going to grab this one and duplicate it so we can work on. Let's do this again, right? So if you have something with layers, you need to go all the way up to the top, bake all your layers, and then what you can do is you can say delete lower, and then we're good. So we have auto groups, right? So now we have just one res mesh and no subdivisions. So we can do whatever we want to now. So the cool thing is that you can come in here and say, okay, I want to come down here like this. All right, let's see what it's actually doing here. Instead of just kind of making it up ourselves, let's try to at least get it in the same. This one I didn't know for a long time either for navigation. This one's a little bit tricky. So if you want to keep this orientation, but like try not to like have to do this type of thing, what you can do is let's see if I can actually talk this out because my fingers know what to do, but my tongue doesn't know how to say it. If you hold down Shift and then you click and drag, this doesn't do anything. But while you're clicking, if you if you let go of Shift, then it'll tilt like this, and then you can. So again, click, hold down. Sorry, Shift, click, let go of Shift, something like that. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna mask a couple of quick sketches on here so that I know what it is, right? Now I can come in here and just go whoop. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do these ones first. How do you manage the opacity of the mask? If you go up here to the very, very top right, I think you can still see it. Yeah, you can see it on the map. There's this see-through, and it says see-through window transparency. So if you turn that down and up, you'll be able to see whatever's on your background. So I use that quite a bit. Okay, I'll do this one later. So maybe what I need to do is I need to take this guy this guy and bring him down a little bit more. Because what I want to do is I want this one to come down, sweep back, and then hit the bottom of this guy. So you got to start thinking about functionality and how all that works, making sure that things work in 3D. In the real. Okay, cool. And again, I'm going to resculpt these and ZBrush them and everything like that, so I'm not worried about them being perfect. I'm just trying to get enough marked out so I have the orientation and enough geo that will be made from it. Yeah, something like that. Sure, let's do it. Okay, so we do group mast. Again, that is in Tools, Polygroups, Group Mast, right there. All my polygroup stuff that I use a lot are right there. All right, so then we just hide everything else. We'll delete hidden. And again, that's why I always make a duplicate so that I can delete everything else. Cool, so now we got these little strips. All right, and then let's turn on display properties double so that I can see both sides. And then we'll just do the same thing. We'll use polish by groups, ZBrush, do half, polish by groups. I think I picked this up from, where did I pick this method up from? Oh, there's so many people out there. Somebody, I picked it up from somebody. I'll try to remember who I picked it up from. Chaos Masons. That's where I picked it up from. All right, so now I have a couple of strips. The only thing about the polish by groups is you'll see that it will start rounding out your edges. So if you want to keep your edges sharp, what you can do is say, okay, I'm just going to move some of the geo here like this. I don't care what this is in here. Then you can say, let's do same, ZBrush, right? And then that will dictate to the ZBrush that, we could just do regular quads here and not to do this weird stuff. So typically I'll just square these guys out real quick. Let it save. Just do that real quick. You know, I don't really care about what this geo is going to do in here. Just want to have a squared end. Like that. We'll do ZBrush. Okay, that one worked, that one worked. This one will have to do a little shenanigans too. Whoa. Let's turn that off. Sometimes the algorithm is kind of fussy a little bit, so just get in, move stuff around a little bit, and then ZBrush it a little bit. And even then, sometimes it has a little some issues. Let's see if Alt ZBrush does it. No, I don't know. It's having issues. We'll leave it be for now. Maybe we'll do half one more time. Yeah, I don't like these ends. That's weird. Oh well. Okay. So now I have some strips. So a couple of things that you can do now is just add some thickness to them. So you can do a couple different things. Let's do edge loop. So if you come into geometry, edge loop, and then panel loops, this one works pretty good. So if we just do, let's see what panel loops does by itself without editing anything. So it adds loops, it polishes it, and then it adds thickness to the outside. Like that. We can work with that. So let's undo that, and then let's take polish down to maybe 1. Thickness I think was okay for right now. Loops down to 1. Elevation is 100, means it's going out. And then let's see what that looks like. Right, so now we're starting to get geo. So the nice thing, again, the reason why I did the way that I did is because now it conforms exactly to the curvature of the arm. I don't have to worry about placing anything all weird. And it's got really good geo. I don't want any zero polish. So we'll do panel loops. So panel loops does some weird stuff if your geo is kind of jank. So sometimes if you want to get real nitty gritty, you can change stuff. But again, this is all going to get dynameshed and everything like that probably, so I don't want to spend too much time doing all this. Yeah, you can do dynamic thickness as well. That's another good one. So if we go into geometry, we go into, oh god, where was it? Not edge loop. No, it's in subtool, isn't it? No, it's in geo. No. God, where was it? Dynamic subdivision. Right, so we can turn on dynamic subdivision, and then you can add a thickness to it. Nope, not offset. All right, so you can do it that way as well. That way you can retain, and I just have that. I have dynamic subdivision tied to Shift D for me. So that way you can just turn that on and off, and you can actually retain that original geo. So there's lots of different ways you could do it. You could do it with Z Modeler Brush as well. So let's actually do that same thing. So we'll do Shift D with this one. We'll give it a thickness. Can we do negative thickness? No, we can't do negative thickness. I think that's the only thing I don't like about dynamic subdivision is that you can't go negative with it, which means that whatever plane that you have on the underside here, it goes out. So if you want it to go in from there and thickness to go in, you may have to use a different method, which is fine. So if you want to do that, the other thing that you can do is, let's go to display properties, turn on double so we can see both sides. You can use your Z Modeler brush and then just Q-mesh it, right? So you can say, come in here, do Q-mesh, polygroup all, that's fine, and then you just come in and Q-mesh it. And then you can decide the thickness really quickly like this. The only thing you have to watch out for is if you turn off double, you notice that all the normals are flipped. So this can get into a little bit of weirdness later if you're exporting this and putting it into something else. The way to fix that is just hit flip, and that will flip all of the normals of that whole entire whatever's visible. So that's one way you can do it as well. I like doing it that way because I can control dynamically the thickness of it without having to do some weird stuff. but the dynamic subdivision is also pretty good. Okay, so that's typically how I'll go about doing most of the block out for the armor pieces. So I'll just go and mask something out, uh, duplicate the subtool, kill all of the layers and subdivisions, mask the part, group masked, and then just keep that grouped masked as your new piece. So let's say we want to do this piece here. Cool. All right, let's do that piece. I would just do it pretty much in the same. Yeah, dynamic thickness is pretty cool. We'll do it in the same vein here. All right, so we'll go to this one. Let's duplicate it first. I'm always super paranoid that I'm going to delete the wrong thing, so I always like to duplicate it first and turn the other one off so I don't accidentally click on it. So then let's go in and let's just block this out. Say we want that to go here. Okay. And what I'm doing is I'm using ghosting transparency here. I use that all the time. If I don't want to, if I want to be able to see the other pieces that are on this, but I still need to be able to draw underneath something, I'll use ghosting, which so if you go to transform, you can turn off transparency and then turn on ghost. So I do that quite a bit. But I did forget to, let's go all the way up. Let's bake all. Let's delete lower. Okay, I'm on the duplicate. And then what we'll do is we will group masked. Cool. Delete hidden. Yeah, this is the question is, am I going to make this for games? Yeah, the process I typically use will be geared towards video game production, unless specifically I'm doing something for like a collectible pipeline or something like that. So let's turn that off. Let's turn the body back on. Okay, we're going to isolate this part. Then we'll do the same thing. So polish edges, and then we're going to go into Geo, Zero Masher. Something about 20 by 20 I like. And then I'm just going to start with 5,000. It's quite high right now, so I don't need to go half by half by half yet. I'm just going to get this all the way down to something really, really low because I want to change the overall shape pretty much. Right, so look at it, that's perfect curvature to that, right? And then now what I can do is I can go in and just say, all right, well, I want this to come out more while still retaining a lot of that curvature. That's typically why I like this style. Yeah. How did I get that shape? I'll do it again for the piece behind it. I'll show you. Okay. So then what I'll do, we're going to do the shape behind it. Um, so so here's this front shape, but there's another shape behind it back here that I'll do the same way. So what I'll do is I'll go to the base. Let's clear the mask. I will always duplicate the base first, turn off the original. And on this particular one, she has layers and subdivisions. So I want to just get rid of those. So just to get rid of all the layers, you have to go up to the highest subdiv, just do bake all, and then delete your lower subdivisions. So now she's just geo. There's no weirdness happening. So then what I can do is I want to be able to see this shape and these shapes, but I can't draw behind those things. So if I use what I have as Shift V, which is transparency, I just map that to Shift V. It's easy for me. So for me, V is solo and Shift V is ghosting. So turn on ghost transparency. And then now what I can do is, I can see this one. So now I can just go in and say, so I'm just going to mask. So I'm just masking things. Nobody's going to see this down here. But for me, I'm just going to add a little shape in there just for my own sanity. And then it's just going to follow that same curvature. And you can unmask stuff if you want to change the shape. I usually don't get too crazy with the mask shape because I'll just change the geo. Like this shape is what it's going to end up being, so I'll just move the geo after it's done. So now that that is done, what I'll do is I come in here to group masked, and that is polygroups, group masked. All right, so basically what that does is it says anything that is masked gets a new polygroup, and then I'll just hide select that and delete hidden. And now I have that piece of geo like that. And then from there, I will go to ZBrush it. Actually, I have a little hole here, so it's going to throw. It'll be a little bit weird, but I can fix that. The way I go about fixing it is just saying, let's put those together. No, that's actually not going to work. Let's go back. We'll go back to before. There we go. All right, now I want to make sure that I have that little piece in there as well. Cool. Then we do group masked. Okay. Sometimes it gets a little bit weird. There we go. So delete hidden. Okay, now we got this piece. It doesn't have a hole in it. Let's do a couple of polished by groups, and then we'll do zero mesh, and then we'll say maybe we'll do this at 2. This is in the thousands. So it's going to say is I'm going to try to make that shape with as close to 2,000 polys as possible. And there you go. That's that piece that is pretty much perfectly aligned with the shapes underneath. That's how you typically do it. Because the most important thing is keeping the under shape. You already have it, so might as well use it, right? So then now maybe we'll do half. We'll start to get some good geo for that. So sometimes, like I was saying, what the polish by groups does is it will start rounding your corners. So I don't want to do that. So how do you get it to not round the corners? Typically what I'll do is I'll just mask off the corner like that, and then do polish by groups. And it won't. The polish by groups will respect your mask. Easy peasy. So that's how I would create those plates, right? So then if, so we got this plate on the outside, we got the plate underneath, and then I would do the same thing with all these, right? Just go in one by one, duplicate the body, mask this out, polygroup it, and then delete everything else, and then zero mesh it. And just do that same thing for all these things. So what I would do then for like, okay, well, how do you determine this back like outline? How are you going to do that? What I would do is I would say, this is your actual, this is the red back piece. And then you can say, actually, you know what? Before we do that, I'm going to pull that out just a little bit. It doesn't have quite as much shape coming in on this piece. So I'm just gonna get this to a decent spot. A lot of times what I'll do too is I will use the alt smooth to kind of correct some of this weirdness. So if I'm kind of moving things around like this and the geo is kind of a little bit messed up, I can use the alt smooth. So smoothing, if you hold down shift and you just click and drag like this, it smooths it. But what that does is it will change the shape, right? See how it like flattens all that out? I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to maintain the overall shape, but I just want to affect the average normals of the polys. So if I hold down shift and I start smoothing, but then I let go of shift, it keeps the overall shape. You see it's not losing the overall shape, but it smooths out all the inside. So this is how I will fix a lot of the geo underneath. So let's say if I'm trying to maintain a low res piece of geo and I need to like change some stuff on it, I'll just go willy-nilly and change the overall shape, and then I'll come back in here with the alt smooth and just kind of smooth things out like that. So that's it. That's the basics of how I start blocking stuff in, right? So I come in and I just start getting the overall shapes in, and start getting everything kind of into place, and all the elements in. And then from there, then you start refining once you got all that stuff in, right? So you get the overall feel that it's starting to be that person or be that character, and then get all the pieces in, and then refine, refine, refine. But that's where we're going to end it for today. We got we didn't get really far, but typically what I would say in a normal video game studio, um, you could probably block this out within 2-3 days. At least get a decent block out of what all the shapes are doing and everything like that. At least to give more refinement to what the three-dimensional aspect of this entity is going to be. But yeah, that's about it. So, I think I will be back next month to start working on this some more. My goal is to do this at least the full high-res character during these streams on Pixologic. So, if you would like to follow along, follow the Pixologic Twitch channel or the Pixologic YouTube channel, and yeah, this replay should be up on the YouTube channel here probably within a day or so, or whenever they get it up. But yeah, thanks to Bjorn for dropping by. It's been awesome catching up with him again, and it's an honor to be able to work on some cool work of his. So, with that, thanks for hanging out, guys and girls, and we will see you soon. We'll pick this back up. All right. Good to see everybody again. Later.